The White House says it is seeking a unified response from Iran, as Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirms Donald Trump has not set a deadline ending the ceasefire extension.
Ultimately, he will dictate the timetable. And again, he is satisfied with the naval blockade, and he understands that Iran is in a very weak position and the cards are in President Trump's hands.
Leavitt also says Trump is satisfied with the ongoing naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, something that Iran's president says is one of the main obstacles to genuine negotiation. He says the country is welcoming dialogue and agreement, but that bad faith siege and threats jeopardize future talks. Earlier today, Iran's IRGC says it captured 2 vessels in the Strait of Hormuz that were, quote, disrupting order and safety. Let's bring in Ian Bremmer. He is the founder and president of the Eurasia Group, and he joins me now. Ian Bremmer, always good to see you. Thanks for taking the time in a busy time.
Sure.
So Donald Trump says he's extended the ceasefire with Iran. Iran fired on 3 ships and seized 2 today. So I don't know what kind of a ceasefire that constitutes. How close is this whole thing returning to full-blown war?
Well, the ceasefire is announced by the United States, and that means that they're not engaging in strikes against Iran, and neither are the Israelis. And clearly that is a de-escalation. The markets like that. Beyond that, they have continued to engage diplomatically all the way through this week, facilitated by the Pakistanis, and the sides are getting closer. It's mostly about uranium, enriched uranium, the disposition of the existing stockpiles and whether they would have to go to a third country or not. The Americans have actually come down a bit on that over the course of the last day. They're talking maybe about down-blending the uranium on site with verifiable inspection. And then there's the talk on how many years that you would not allow any form of enrichment. The Americans are still at 20, the Iranians, depending on when you talk to them, between 3, 5, and 10. But this is a meaningful conversation. And in return for that, there would be meaningful sanctions, restrictions reduced by the United States, and some $6 to $10 billion that would be unfrozen from the Qataris that the United States would approve, as well as from waivers. And so, you know, I think we are in the ballpark of a nominal agreement. That does not mean that the agreement can then be implemented effectively. It doesn't mean that getting from here to there is going to be smooth. But right now, I think there's still a better chance than not that in the coming days to a week, you're going to have a second round of actual talks in Islamabad.
But help me understand, Ian Bremmer, of where this leaves Iran and the U.S. relative to where things would have been under the Obama deal, right? The old nuclear agreement that they had with Iran, because unfreezing billions of dollars is the sort of thing that Trump used in his election campaign to criticize former President Obama.
But that was when Obama did it.
Yeah, okay, yes.
It's better because it's Trump.
Yes.
Right? I mean, so first of all, let's understand that, right? He doesn't like deals that other people do.
I get
Whether they're previous Americans or Canadians, it doesn't matter.
Well, he doesn't like deals he did in the case of Canada-U.S. trade, but that's another conversation.
In the case of USMCA, sometimes he doesn't even like his own deals. That's true. But in this case, specifically, the big difference that he will focus on will be that they are not allowed to engage in any level of enrichment, even for civilian purposes, where the JCPOA did allow
very low levels,
civilian enrichment. Having said that, he will also talk about the damage that's been done to their existing military capabilities. We saw that with the 12-day war last year, much more of that over the last 6 weeks. He'll also talk about the 150 some military leaders, including the supreme leader, that have been assassinated by the Israelis. Now, that is from his perspective. He now calls that regime change. It certainly doesn't help the Iranian people. But he, of course, has been changing the goals of the war, which he launched because he needs to find a way to announce a win. And that's not going to go over with most of the American people. It certainly won't go over with almost any other country outside the U.S., but it will go over with his MAGA supporters, and that matters to him.
I just wonder, though, they're still continuing the blockade, and if they have these talks, I mean, Iran has shown an ability to flex some military might on the Strait of Hormuz and inflict economic pain on everybody by doing that. I mean, Where does that fit into this picture? I mean, can there be any kind of credible long-term stability and peace if Iran can still do this if needed?
Long-term is a big question. The Emiratis and the Israelis are both very uncomfortable with the idea of keeping this regime in place with all of these capabilities. And by the way, not just the drones, but the ballistic missile capabilities are far greater than the American military had anticipated when they started this war, both in terms of their reach, their long range, the hypersonics, as well as how quickly they can dig them out and use them after they've been hit. And that includes during a ceasefire. So, I mean, the capabilities Iran has is very serious. Having said all of that, if there is a ceasefire and the Iranians and the Americans both agree that now, as a consequence of all of this money that the Iranians are getting, that they're no longer collecting tolls, then you can bring in the rest of the world. Then the Europeans can start sending ships in that will provide security. Then you can focus on demining. This will all take time, and it could be broken at any moment by the Iranians with that military capability. But in principle, they are agreeing to all of this deal if they do, because they want access to the unfrozen assets. They want access to all of the money they can make by selling this oil unfettered by sanctions. So there are clearly, in order for this deal to work, there are major carrots that have to be offered to the Islamic Republic. And you have to imagine that when Trump started this war, he never thought that would be the position he'd be in.
Yeah, and this is what I wonder about. When you bring it back, that are they actually in a weaker strategic position than they were? Like, you can degrade militaries, they can be rebuilt, you can take care of the, Ayatollahs can be replaced, as we have seen. So I just want to circle back as a final point to something you said earlier, Ian Bremmer, that you think it might be enough for the MAGA base. I wonder about that. You see, some of the thought leaders of that movement, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, abandoning him and rebuking him, Tucker Carlson apologizing for endorsing him. I don't know how much weight they still carry in a movement like that, but some of the people who cheered him on have said, this is not what we wanted and not what he promised.
Did you just call Marjorie Taylor Greene a thought leader?
I swear to God, I heard in a MAGA context, yes. In a MAGA context.
Even there.
In a MAGA context.
Even there, it's really hard to go. That is a stretch for my friends north of the border here, right? I mean, look, these are
I'm getting fact-checked now.
Small number of, I hate to fact-check you real time.
I gotcha.
Small number of incredibly online people that are really angry that Trump's America First looks like Israel First when it comes to this war. That is absolutely not the strong majority of MAGA. And let me hit back with this idea. Trump is underwater. He's going to get destroyed in the November midterm elections, but he is more popular today with Republicans than he was at this point in his first term with Republicans, than Biden was at this point in his administration with Democrats. We cannot lose sight of that. Right. He certainly is not.
Okay. How the turntables have turned. I've never had that done to me. That was an interesting moment there.
Never? Oh, we got to do more of this. It'll be fun.
Well, listen, you are a thought leader, and we always appreciate it. That's Ian Bremmer, founder and president of the Eurasia Group. Thank you, sir.